is going back a couple of weeks, there was a picture on the front of Vogue with Rihanna and A$AP Rocky, and it got a lot of backlash because Rihanna was in the front, A$AP Rocky's in the back. Why is in the back? He's looking like a weak guy and all this kind of stuff, like all the negative connotations to do with that. It's that shot support at the front, but there was different views about it. And her choice in man is a black man. Rihanna has settled down with a black man, and the unity is there. But it is recognized in I believe China, in Russia is an official holiday.
So as far as my understanding, basically the movement began in New York, the Socialist movement in the United States. Then the German women got inspired by that and they carried on their movement. And then in 1917, this movement became an official holiday in Russia. And then from Russia up until the late 70s, when it was adopted by the UN, it was basically all the socialist/communist states and movements that would celebrate and recognize women. And today, you've got several countries that from that region, Eastern Europe, Asia, Russia, that celebrate International Women's Day, recognize it as a holiday. And then, particular African countries, possibly influenced by the socialists, maybe. No, off the top of my head, what I saw was Burkina Faso, Uganda, a few, I think Cameroon as well, African countries that do recognise International Women's Day, but the rest of the West, they don't. So what you saw on International Women's Day is that people recognising the day on their social media platforms and all that kind of stuff, but it's not a national recognised holiday here or an official holiday here or anything like that.
You mentioned Burkina Faso, and we know the history of Thomas Sankara, who was a great leader of Burkina Faso, who changed a lot there, including the name, the land of the upright people, I believe that translates to. And he was very passionate about women and women's rights, and not only just women's rights, but getting the men to actually understand the plight of a woman, or the feeling, or the empathize with women in terms of what women do. So I think there was an official day where the men had to do all the chores of a woman. I think that's one of the things that he got them to do, to kind of relate to this toughness of what women do. So it's not a surprise if that's one of the countries that does recognize International Women's Day.
Greetings and welcome to Out of Noise,
the podcast with your host Stella B
and Nat Nye.
This is the podcast where we bring our peace
to the mic,
and we welcome you back frequently to tune into our frequency. Vibes every time. And this is a series where we're discussing trending subjects. So what's been happening in the week, Nat?
There's been lots of things happening in the week, as this is it's a trending world, really. Everything's trending every single day. Something's trending, something new. Microwave society, something in, out. But we're going to use this opportunity to talk about women, because International Women's Day happened on the 8th of March, and we are in that week currently. So when this comes out, we would have been in that week. So we're going to talk about women today. Our women.
Yeah, it's also something called a month of celebration of Women's History Month as well. So it's all that feminine energy. We've got Mother's Day coming up. Shout out to all the mums out there. Shout out to the to-be mums out there, and all the mums in terms of the community. We have so many. Can't even begin to name them, but big up to all the hard effort work that you do. Okay, let's name Auntie Jean for our African Cultural Market. She's the matriarch of that. The Ajay spirit is truly within that one. Like, we give her so much reverence and thanks for all of the effort that she puts into making that African Cultural Market a success every single month without fail. Even with the lockdown, she continued in that energy. So shout out to her and that energy. To all the others, we've got Cheryl Phoenix, we've got Lady Maat Adele, we've got Sister Kai from the Archival and Revivalist movement. Who else? Sister Nahanda. I've got a name. There's just too many. Like, just big up to all the mums and all the mums of the community as well that are doing the things. And historically, when we think about International Women's Day, that should be a month where we start to think about the women who don't really get recognized in terms of history, our Black history, because, you know, it's normally the men that are in the front and get all the recognition, or the movement that wouldn't really happen without the women there, not just in the background, but actually actively making a lot of things work in terms of a movement, in terms of, you say, let's talk about the Garvey movement. That it was that phenomenal movement that you were discussing yesterday on your TikTok. There were very strong, powerful women who were making things, actioning things in that movement as well. To name
Amy Jacks Garvey, Amy Ashford Garvey, both the wives of Marcus Garvey, played a fundamental role in the movement of Pan-Africanism and Garveyism.
Yeah, and often it's not really, and you know, the whole documentation of it was done by Amy Garvey. So we have to acknowledge those powerful women in this month. But yeah, specifically what we want to say, we want to do is give you like a little brief understanding of what International Women's Day comes from. It comes from a socialist movement in the eastern part of the world, and actually is an official day of a holiday recognized, not really in the West, but it is recognized in, I believe China, in Russia is an official holiday.
Yeah, so it, as far as my understanding, basically it began in, or the movement began in New York, the Socialist movement in the United States. Then the German women got inspired by that, and they carried on their movement. And then in 1917, this movement became an official holiday in Russia. And then from Russia up until the late 70s, when it was adopted by the UN, it was basically all the socialist / communist states and movements that would celebrate and recognize women. And today, yeah, you've got several countries that from that region, Eastern Europe, Asia, Russia, that celebrate International Women's Day as an official holiday. And in places like China, it's specifically for women, so men don't join in that, but women recognize it as a holiday. And then, yeah, particular African countries, possibly influenced by the socialist, maybe. I know off the top of my head, what I saw was Burkina Faso, Uganda, a few, I think Cameroon as well. I think African countries that do recognize International Women's Day, but yeah, the rest of the West, they don't. So what you saw on International Women's Day is that people recognizing the day on their social media platforms and all that kind of stuff, but it's not a national recognized holiday here or an official holiday here or anything like that.
You mentioned Burkina Faso, and we know the history of Thomas Sankara, who was a great leader of Burkina Faso, who changed a lot there, including the name, the land of the upright people, I believe that translates to. And he was very passionate about women and the women's rights, and not only just women's rights, but getting the men to actually understand the plight of a woman, or the feeling, or the, you know, empathize with women in terms of what women do. So I think there was an official day where the men had to do all the chores of a woman. I think that's one of the things that he got them to do, to kind of relate to, you know, there's the toughness of what women do. So it's not a surprise if that's one of the countries that does recognize International Women's Day, because he was a huge advocate for women in that sense. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that as well.
Yeah, that's the brief history of it, but it's important to note this, right? Those that are connecting with this, African history recognizes women. African history, African culture, African spirituality. I'm talking about pre-colonial, pre-invasive. There were several African civilizations and traditions that recognized the power and the role of women. So it's the interference and interruption of our history that has shaped it or cloaked it underneath the sort of a chronological movement for women in the West. But when you look at African history, African spirituality, it doesn't ignore the role of the important role of women, nor does it restrict.
It's a very important point to make. It's a distinctive and very, like, you know, forgotten history or facts that in a lot of African, like, we're talking history, like, it's very deep, because we have a very small understanding of what history is as the mainstream. And a lot of ancient societies, both in Africa and even across the globe, do have evidence that show that there was a time where women were very much revered, and there was more balance. Obviously, in ancient Egypt, we can see the balance there. We can see it depicted on the walls, and even the symbol of the ankh is of that family unity. And that brings me onto a post that someone put up on Instagram in reaction to International Women's Month, and it was like and it was like, why are we going for that angle? Why are we choosing this still? Like, and I know we're in a time of we're in a very much divided time in terms of black and white, this and that. Like, you've got this view, I have this view, and it's very like a lot of energy is being pushed into getting everyone in a discourse. Like, everyone just wants to battle. And so rather than this being an opportunity of celebration, this post was like, let me use this as an opportunity to attack men, like, and guys that, I don't want to see a post from anyone talking about, all the women that I respect and this and that. I don't want to see this and that. And I just didn't really understand why that was necessary, other than clickbait and, clout. That's what most people are going for in terms of influential spaces. Like, they know that's going to be shared, that the algorithm helps that. And maybe they truly believe it, or maybe they truly feel certain, are passionate about certain things. But for me, when we're celebrating International Women's Day, I don't think it has to come as an expense to anyone. Like, it's really about reverence to women and our achievements, and recognizing our power and our strength. And also, as Nat just said, the history of where the other systems that were there before patriarchy. But it doesn't have to come as an opportunity to attack. Like, the reason why the post is specifically bad is because it's saying to men who want to say good things about women, to men that want to talk about their mom or their loved ones or anything like that, I don't want to hear from you. And it's like, but we need that. We want to hear from that. I saw there's a channel called Black Love. There's a few spaces where people are talking about Black Love, and this is run by men. It's an American one, but there are some here. There's loads popping up everywhere. And there's these movements to try and empower men through acknowledging things that aren't normally talked about by men, emotions, like, how do you feel about certain things? And these spaces are coming up in a lot of different arenas, and it's great. It's really good. It's good for healing, growth. It's good for next generation of men to have that, to see proud black men who revere their families, who want to kind of celebrate unity and their women and honor their women, etc., who are upright men. Like, they do exist. They do actually exist. And when a man like that wants to honestly put out a post about women in their lives that and honor, you shouldn't attack that. Like, it's annoying to me, because now it's like, what is it that you want to correct? Is it that you just want a world without men in it or something? Like, I don't understand. If there's men that are actually doing the things that are good, then should we not just allow that space? So yeah, I don't know what your thoughts were about it, but it just, yeah, it's...
Well, you said it pretty much, that we're just in a time of division, and subconsciously or consciously, benefit of the doubt to say subconsciously, people will put out what they, as you said, is going to get the most traction on social media, what's going to get the likes and the comments and the engagement, essentially, and grow their following in that sense. And then you have people who so subconsciously they may be doing it, consciously they know, if I put out this particular post, it's going to get this reaction, and it's a business at the end of the day. We're in the attention economy, so not just with this situation, you find it in all kinds of groups. Whatever group that you belong to, you're going to talk in a certain kind of way that is going to get the engagement. But what is the repercussions? And that's what you're talking about. What is the repercussions of all of that? Well, if you are a man that wanted to celebrate International Women's Day and celebrate the woman in your life or whatnot, and you see a post like that, that might put you off. Therefore, there's going to be less of that love being shown. Or you see a post like that and you see the several comments below of different women going, yes, this is it, this gave me life, all that kind of talk, then that's going to make you feel less inclined to do something, because you are now putting yourself out there for unwarranted attack. I'm just choosing to celebrate my mother, for example, and then that's going to warrant attack. And you've been warned as well. You've been warned that if you do this, then there's going to be that level of reaction.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? It's like, and people are living in a kind of state of fear when it comes to what it is that I can post, without some repercussion. Even good things that you want to post, like it's so bad. So yeah, I didn't like that, and I think there is space for gunning for men who are a problem. There is loads of space for that, like, and please do continue that. We need to correct that ill behavior of certain type of men who don't know how to treat women, who have been brought up wrong, who they're very damaged and do damage to society, and refuse to learn. Like, those are the ones that deserve that energy, like 100%. But attacking men that are actually trying or actually putting positive messages about women, no, stop. Like, now we're nitpicking. Now it's too much. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about real quick is going back a couple of weeks. There was a picture on the front of Vogue with Rihanna and ASAP Rocky, and it got a lot of backlash because Rihanna was in the front, ASAP Rocky's in the back, and people were like, it's you're like, why is he in the back? He's looking like a weak guy, and all this kind of stuff, like all the negative connotations to do with that. And they've recently actually put out the kind of the back shoot, the kind of outtakes of it. Okay. And it was like, yeah, it was really like just natural. Literally, it was really not that at all. Obviously, yes, they chose that shot to put at the front, but, and, there was different views about it. But my point of view is this: Rihanna as a woman has, alongside Beyonce and others, has really demonstrated through her choice of means in terms of the arts or whatever, the mainstream, how you can masterfully use business to kind of, make an imprint, an impact, a huge impact. And her choice in man is a black man. Rihanna has settled down with a black man. And the unity is there. Like, they've got the other, I believe they've said it's another boy coming. They've got 2 boys, I believe. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong about that. It's inspiring. It's good. It's like, for me, I don't necessarily, I didn't grow up like watching Rihanna and thinking, I want to be Rihanna. Like, that wasn't my thing. I was of the Beyonce. It's not that they're pit against each other, but I was of that age group, and Rihanna age group was younger. So I haven't grown into like revering her or seeing or looking up to her like that. But I do think it's good that at this stage her maturity is more showing in terms of like the business choices that she's made. People speak of her in those ways. They speak of Fenty at the brand as young people, I'm saying, who look up to her. They speak of her as a businesswoman as well as an artist, and she must have deliberately done that. She took a huge gap from doing music, and people were like, we want your music and all of this kind of stuff, but she's focused on her business. And so allow her that space, in my opinion, to be able to masterfully own that, be a woman of power. Like, there is nothing wrong with that. I don't see that lessening ASAP Rocky, because he is also a master at his craft. He is also someone that is climbing mountains and doing what he's doing. To me, they're equal. And so even one picture like that, and over like how many other pictures where she might be at the bottom or whatever, is okay. It's like, it's not something to kind of I don't know, like, take it as a negative on ASAP because she's at the front. Because would it have been more comfortable for you to see her at the back? And then you've got to understand why that is. Like, why is it that you are more comfortable to see someone walking 50 steps behind? That is in some traditions, like, the woman must pace how many paces behind the man. That's like, it's like, why though? Why? Like, literally, why? Like, you've got to question that if you're thinking those kind of things. There are other ways to demonstrate that you submit to the love of your man or whatever. There's other ways to do that. I think that energy does exist and is necessary, but I don't think, for that particular photo shoot, that was a moment. He's holding their baby. That is what he's concentrating on. Could our minds not go to that space rather than, she should be holding the baby, as a woman, da, 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 da. I mean, I'm sure she's breastfeeding. I'm sure she's doing all sorts of things like that the mum does. Like, dads are also, what's the word?
Paternal.
Yeah, dads are paternal. dads are paternal, and they need to be more so, like, especially with their sons. That's how you're going to create more good men in the world, when you're hands-on dad like that. You know, people were attacking Akon the other day, because he was like, I have to go out and do the work. Do you remember? So it's like, which one is it? But anyway, that's a whole different kind of worms to bring up. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. Okay. So, like, you made a lot of good points, and basically, my view is I can understand why people felt away. I didn't like ASAP Rocky's pose. Like, I didn't like it. It didn't look strong. He could have held his baby up, chest out, back straight. I didn't really like the meek look that he had when he was holding his baby. However, the positioning of Rihanna at the front and ASAP holding the baby, and him actually showing love to his baby, beautiful thing. And it's rare to see a black man depicted in that way in the mainstream. Like, it is rare to see. And it's not. I just feel like in what you're saying, I agree. Like, what are we triggered by, and what things shall we just let live and celebrate the good that comes from it? Rihanna being at the forefront, yes, it depicts her as a powerful woman, but they're also holding hands. It's depicting her as essentially the breadwinner, and I think that's what is triggering a lot of men who feel like, no, the traditional role is that the man should be the breadwinner and a woman should be at home, and so this depiction is flipping those gender roles on its head. But that's misplaced ego, and it's not rooted in where we are as a people. So I say that to say it's a similar sort of triggered response people get when they saw Woman King. Just the title, Woman King, it upset a lot of people. But if you understand Africa, this is what I'm saying, the first one I said, when it comes to African history, having woman leaders is not alien to us. It's not nothing new. So despite whatever agendas is being put forward right now, that aspect of it has always been true in African history. And even if you don't want to go back to ancient times or whatnot, when you look into the diaspora, when you look into the United States of America, some of the first, quote unquote, first or prominent millionaires were actually women, African American women. So Mary Pleasant is one, where Mary Pleasant was in the 1800s to the 1900s. She was a millionaire, and she actually funded or put funds towards the Underground Railroad, which was also, Harriet Tubman is also a prominent figure. So I just think when it comes to our liberation, if you want to mention Nanny of the Maroons, or who? Cecil Fatima in Haiti. If you want Nanny of the Maroons, there's so many. And then today as well, it's just a continuation of that. So when you have mindsets that is restrictive, where and saying, women have to be placed in this position, then it's holding us all back. And now I'll say, like, if Stella got a massive opportunity and started to make the millions, and we have our children, it's upon me. The man thing to do is to step up in the household. The man thing to do is not to be like, no, she should not take that opportunity. To save my ego, you have to fall back and let me get my little just so that I can uphold a certain image. That's ignorant, and it's regressive way of thinking. Rihanna is not celebrated enough, actually, in terms of what she's achieved as a business person. And I say that to say that when it comes to the men that have acquired that billionaire status, some of us can't stop going on about it. But she, at a very young age, has become a billionaire, and it's very much overlooked. The talking points of that front cover should not be about the agenda and all of that kind of stuff. It should be like, she's actually a billionaire. And big up to ASAP Rocky for stepping up as a man in that way, to show, okay, well, if you're making the billions, if you're bringing that amount of wealth to the family, I'm not going to restrict you, and I'm not going to restrict the image of you, because you deserve that image. You deserve that powerful image, because you're the one who's making that money. And ASAP Rocky is not poor. ASAP Rocky has done very well for himself. He's doing very well for himself, but he's not a billionaire. Rihanna is. And I feel like we within ourselves, we have to analyze when Stella's mentioned Auntie Jean runs the African market and has been doing it for 8 years consistently. And when we call on Ajay, or we recognize Ajay, the Orisha of economic prosperity, that is the feminine. So we have to really think about where are these ideologies come from, and are these ideologies helping us or inhibiting us? And there's certain things that are done to trigger us, but we got to pick and choose, like what are we getting triggered by and why? And are we just getting triggered because we actually want to emulate the quote unquote dominant culture, or do we want to return to self and embrace power? And it doesn't matter the gender when it comes to leadership, when it comes to business acumen, when it comes to economic prosperity, when it comes to innovation, when it comes to anything to do with the mind that is not gender related. Yeah, so big up to Rihanna, big up. Yeah, I just feel we need to, I was going to say, when it comes to the agenda, the regards to the what I don't feel men and women share the same space is when it comes to physical sports, and because that's just obvious, right? I don't even need to break that down. It's just obvious. It's not safe. But other than that, when it comes to any form of leadership, when it comes to generating wealth, when it comes to any aspect of this life, there's no need. In fact, it's regressive to hold back the natural leaders, and this is including warriors as well. Not all man is warrior, and there are some women that are warriors. So you don't want non-warriors on the battlefield. You rather have the warriors. That's another thing. So there's automatic roles, or there's automatic not roles. There's automatic things that based on our biology that is necessary. So for example, breastfeeding, man can't do that as a woman. That's automatic. That's set. But there's other things as well. Like Rihanna can breastfeed and make billions. So why are you trying to hold her back? When she's got to make her billions, A$AP Rocky can step up in a certain kind of way. So it's just embracing black success and black love. That's the priority, I feel.
Yes, lovely. And we've got it on camera. Everyone, he said that. No, that's great. I really thank you. I really appreciate your true values there and principles. So finally, before we go, we just want to have a bit of fun. And then, because what I recognized was, okay, it is the year of the 50th anniversary of hip hop. And hip hop to myself and that is just, it's so important. It's so important. It's such an incredible genre of music, shifted so many cultures and mindsets, and it has educated so many people. Hip hop is such a powerful tool for education. Really is. Like, I think that has been the reason why we've seen so much dumbed down music put out, because the power of having succinct knowledge put into beats and rhymes that just makes everything go into you connect with you, means that, you know, they just want everyone to be pushing out rubbish messages. Imagine that you're learning rubbish messages through the music, and you could be learning literally your GCSEs, your science. You know, that wasn't actually an idea of Jizza. But anyway, I digress. So that's a whole different topic. But this is the 50th year of hip hop. So we want to honor the women in this special women's episode that we're doing today. And we're going to give our top 5 women rappers, female artists, rappers, sorry. Because it was like sprinkles in the top 50 of the Billboard that was put out like 3 weeks ago now. There was like a smattering of women, and it just goes to show you what's happened with, like with every other thing. Women are just so underrepresented in production, in, you know, in every avenue of where women should be, apart from being scantily clad and put in, you know, as wallpaper just to look nice in front of the camera kind of thing. But women be spitting bars, like, come on. So who are your top 5 that?
Yeah, it does speak to when you say the sprinkling and stuff like that. Sprinkling. Basically, yeah, this is another example of why women shouldn't be restricted. There's no reason. There's so many incredible MCs that are women, that, you know, politics, artists, industry politics stops these artists from really flourishing. But yeah, top 5 off the top of my head, like I said with the when we were doing the list before in a previous episode, that mine actually shifts and changes because it does. It's based upon how I'm feeling in the time. So if I'm to reel them off, it would be, Lauryn Hill, and I don't know if I'm doing this in any particular order either, but yeah, Lauryn Hill. I'd have to put Missy Elliott in there. Little Sims has to be in there. Sarok, the god SMC, and probably Rhapsody.
Yeah, so you got two of mine or three. I've got, for me, my top 5 would be Sarok, incredible rapper. She blew my mind when you first introduced me to her, like 8 years ago. That video, the animated video, I'm gonna put it on in the back in a sec. And I rate obviously Lauryn Hill. Like, she is just such a dope rapper. That verse that she's got on King's Disease 2, I think it's King's Disease 2, isn't it, with Nas.
Okay.
Where it's like a comeback moment, and if it was back in the day, that would have been like a moment in hip hop, but we're not in those days. So we've got her, and then we've got, you made me think of Little Sims now. Yeah, definitely cannot downplay Little Sims. She is phenomenal. And ratings to like the other female artists as well, who are from the UK, Miss Dynamite and all those type of people, because they were a huge influence. Like, she was a huge influence on me growing up, like, because of her message. And she was obviously a Lauryn Hill baby, like, and that's the kind of music that is needed in a time like this, like, where we are struggling. And she was so impactful, just powerful message. So actually, I'm gonna put her in as well. So how many is that? That's 4. Yeah, and Rhapsody was my last one as well. But yeah, big up to all the female MCs that we've got to recognise. Lioness, we've got to recognise Queenie, we've got to recognise even what's her? Oh my gosh, Lady Likes. Lady Likes is just a genius spitter. Like, she's just got bar after bar after bar. Like, she does not get her recognition at all. And then what's her face as well? The Queen's. The one that does the Queen speech. Lady LaShaw as well. Like, she's got bars as well. Like, she's cool. She's got energy on stage. Who? I-Sister. Yeah, shout out to I-Sister with the bars there, and the message, and the musicality. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people. I feel like we're gonna have to just do a day with the Out of Noise thing with music. We're just gonna have to do the hip hop thing, because we're poets, right? People of extraterrestrial substance. So we need to honor that side of us, and we need to put our poetry for you as well. So that's coming up. But thank you so much for tuning in to this very short episode of Out of Noise. Do subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Thank you to our 50 subscribers. We see you. We appreciate you a lot. If you like this video and you want to see much more, please do share around, and buy us a coffee. Buy us a coffee in the description below. So thank you very much.
Love and light. Peace.